Dan Rubenstein, you have a tough act to follow, my friend. Cinemax Saturday went over very well.
I think it did.
For Ballerhood. So I don't know what you've got in store for us today as we prepare for week 4, but just know that there's kind of a lot of pressure on you right now.
I mean, between dropping like a Skinamax reference on the preview show last week and a Matt Christopher reference on the recap show late Saturday night, I think I'm scratching 90s weirdo teenagers exactly where they itch. And I don't know where that is, but I feel like somewhere on their brain I'm doing good work. So, yeah, it feels good, Ty.
I don't want you to unveil it now, but did you prepare a nickname for today?
I always don't. I always? Yeah, of course.
Well, I'm just making sure. I don't know if you buckled under the pressure.
Oh, no, this is going to be another great week.
Excellent. Well, it is week 4.
Yeah.
Welcome back. I'm Ty. He is Dan. This is the Solid Verbal College Football Show. Thank you so much for downloading, for listening, for supporting what we do. If you're new here, please hit the follow button. If you're not new here, I will get to that in a second. We've got a proposition for all y'all.
Ooh.
Stand by. On today's show, though, we are going to go through. We are going to pick games, preview games for week 4. We are going to help you build your afternoon quad boxes on your streaming provider of choice, provided that's something that you can do. Even if you have to do it manually, we're going to help you do that. We are also going to get into, yes, of course, the Patriot League lightning round. It's something that people look forward to, and there will be plenty of hijinks along the way, Dan.
For the first time this season, I wrote down the verbs that I'm going with for the Patriot League lightning round. Yeah.
That is the way to do it.
Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out.
We'll go through all of that and much, much more on today's episode, Dan. If you are ready, though.
Always.
Let's just dive in.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
It is week 4, and our big games at the top here brought to you by our good friends out at verballers.com. Yes, that is our thing, verballers.com. But we are now doing another game. We do a game every week. This is week 4. It's called Run the Board. This week, you play for a $100 gift card to a little company called Viore.
Ooh.
Dan. I got a pair of Viores on right now. Very comfortable stuff.
Yeah.
Not
I don't
a sponsor.
doubt it.
Absolutely could be. We picked this up on our own accord. But get in on the action by going to either verballers.com or playruntheboard.com. Both will give you the details. You pick 12 things against the spread at the end. Whoever comes away as the victor gets the spoils.
Yeah, I know that actually they do sponsor podcasts, and I would argue nobody would sell Viore like Ty Hildenbrandt. It's just it's a no-brainer. Come on, guys.
It is a no-brainer. High noon, ABC. NC State at Clemson. The point spread here is 20. There's a lot.
Yeah.
But something to keep in mind. NC State's won this game 2 of the last 3 years. Each time, regardless of victory or defeat over the last couple of years, it's been a 7 to 10 point game, so it's been well within that number. I thought this one through, Dan. I kind of wavered on this a fair amount. My thought is if you're picking NC State to either cover or win in this game, that factoid about it being close the last 3 years is probably the only reason you got.
This was a CW game last year.
It was a CW game. Maybe you're picking because the coaching matchup. I'm just making this up. I don't know. Maybe you're picking because the coaching matchup has kept it close the last couple seasons. But you're really just leaning on past results and past teams and past situations to hopefully wish cast this thing into becoming a cover or a win for the Wolfpack. Because there are so many things I don't like about this game from the NC State standpoint that I really couldn't justify doing it. Where did you come down here?
Okay, so it's only week 4, and I think this is going to be a general theme, and this is an easy transition for me to tell you the name of my week, because I feel as if we are shoveling dirt on a number of teams. And our dear friend Lee Corso likes to say, not so fast, right? That what you believe to be the case isn't necessarily we are moving too quickly. And so in the case of NC State or in the case of Clemson, right? That Clemson blows out App State and you're like, all right, Clemson's back. It's been a week against a Sun Belt team. Clemson's back, everybody.
Clemson's back. We're good. They put up 66 points, everybody.
And Clemson's death is, I think, sort of exaggerated anyway, because they still win a bunch of games. And, they've lost games that perhaps they shouldn't, that they wouldn't have with Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson. But there is an element of like that not so fast, or as I like to say it, slow down Saturday. That's all I'm saying. That NC State looked better with Grayson McCall out. He was injured. We don't like it when people get injured. CJ Bailey, the freshman. Jeremiah Smith's high school quarterback, which I'm sure will be part of his announcer conversation moving forward.
How many yearbook photos are we going to see of that?
God. Yes, of course.
It's going to be off the charts in this game.
And I don't know exactly the health right now of Grayson McCall, but it was CJ Bailey last week. NC State has had trouble running the ball, which we didn't see. We like Jordan Waters, good in pass blocking, runs hard, but if the line's not there, the line's not there. The passing game hasn't been there. The defense most certainly has been disappointing. When you look at what they were not able to do against Tennessee and then struggling to separate, especially early on. It was Louisiana Tech last week, NC State.
Yep.
I'm going to check which game, who I picked and what my score is on the legal pad. If you guys are all watching on Cheddar Live, this is the legal pad.
Yeah.
I have Clemson covering. So I'm going against Jack Johnson in this moment because of the youth factor. If they are starting CJ Bailey against this Clemson defense,
which I think they are. I think
that's the latest at time of recording.
Yeah.
That really, if it were a situation, if NC State were starting a quarterback like they've started the last couple of years, maybe it's a little bit different. But right now, I'm going with Clemson. I'm going with receiver confidence, which hasn't always been there these last few years, where I think Clemson...
You're a fully evolved Clemson human now. Congratulations.
I arguably like Clemson more than you did in the preview. I like Clemson here. I have it down as 35-13. And it's, I don't know. NC State has been bad on third down. They've been bad in the red zone. So even if they're giving themselves opportunities, they don't have a lot of confidence there. And for Clemson, I think you could distill it all down to like, this is a really nice TCB moment for Clemson. Just take care of business. NC State appears to be vulnerable. The game's at home at night, yes?
The game is at home at noon.
At home at noon, excuse me. TCB nonetheless. Take care of business. This is a great opportunity for Clemson to look back on previous season and previous matchups against NC State and be like, no, it's business time this time.
Business time this time. There are three things I don't like about this game.
Okay.
And two of them are from the NC State side of things. So the first is you addressed this about the Grayson McCall injury. NC State's going to start CJ Bailey. It looks like they're going to start their true freshman. Yes, Jeremiah Smith's high school teammate.
Shamadad Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah, you will see that before. He is a tall drink of water. He's like 6'6", 210. Bit of a wonky throwing motion. You will come to love it, I'm sure. A lot of upside. Truly might be better than Grayson McCall a few weeks down the road, because the Grayson McCall thing hasn't necessarily gone great thus far, but I don't feel great about his first start being on the road in Death Valley.
No.
I don't care if it's at high noon or at 8 p.m. That's the first thing. That's just not a great situation. The second thing is this. Another thing you alluded to. I think we're very simpatico, more simpatico than you could possibly imagine. Wait till I get to the final score. Okay. 2, NC State played one good team. They lost by 41. They lost by 41 points, Tennessee.
But you're not who you are in your worst. You're not who you are in your best. Continue.
That was week 2.
It was week 2. They weren't great in week 1. They weren't great in week 3.
So those two other games against Western Carolina and La Tech, those should have been easy wins. And they couldn't separate from either of those teams. So it's a leap for me to now expect that, they're suddenly going to make a jump with a true freshman on the road, even if he's pretty good. I mean, I'm just not seeing it. The offensive struggles are well documented. You mentioned some of the third down stuff. I was looking at EPA, the expected points added. Per rush attempt, it's 127th. Per pass attempt, it's 100th. I.e., what does that mean? They're not getting any value out of passing attempts nor rushing attempts. And defensively, it's almost as bad, which I think only compounds the problem. The third problem that I have with this game, it's more of a Clemson thing, and it's more of a numbers thing. It's the point spread. It's the point spread because we saw Clemson against a really good defense get hammered in week 1 against Georgia, then destroy App State last week, right? Or then destroy App State in week 2. They were on bye last week.
Yeah.
Georgia and App State are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. So there's a little part of me that's at least a little concerned about NC State is squarely in the middle.
Right, the variance between App State and Georgia.
Squarely in the middle in terms of where they stand defensively. And I just wonder if that App State game was a bit of a mirage on the Clemson side. Like, are they going to turn back into a pumpkin here?
Right.
And we're going to see more of that Georgia version of the offense against a better, if not flawed, defense than they saw a week ago. I just can't justify picking NC State here. And we were real high on this team. It's very disappointing, especially if you're an NC State fan.
Right.
It's a big line. It's a game where they've recently been competitive, but they kind of stink. They do. They kind of stink. Maybe I need to slow down. If they show me up, I'll come back here on Saturday night. I'll take the medicine. That's the way this thing goes. But they've just given me no reason to believe. So I'm with you. I think down to the number. I have 35-13 on my note sheet.
That's what I have, 35-13. And here, the thing that sort of gives me pause with this, and it's more like vague than it is specific, is like Tony Gibson hasn't forgotten how to coach defense and call a defense for NC State. He's done really well against Cade Klubnik and Clemson. And so that's my concern, that there is that matchup element to this, that obviously Clemson's in better shape. Obviously, they're more talented. Obviously, there are more playmakers on this Clemson team, especially on defense. But are we overreacting to an App State game when Clemson looked fully woeful against Georgia? If they had beaten App State 27-10 and it was comfortable and never in doubt, would you feel as confident, or was it that like cartoonish number that they beat them by that is now perhaps too dramatically coloring and shading your opinion of Clemson football?
We agree, perhaps a little too much.
Yeah, I'm worried about that pick, but that's where I'm going.
3:30 CBS. How about that? Number 11 USC, a 5.5 point road favorite in the Big House.
Yes,
squaring off against number 18 Michigan. Last week we had 3 picks for Davis Warren. So Sharon Moore gave him the hook. He has officially now scheduled his offensive orgy to start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon.
Congratulations, Ty.
Been waiting all year for that. All year for that. The old afternoon orgy. Yeah. We have a conversation to have about this game because it became apparent right away that obviously they did not trust Alex Orji. Otherwise, they would have played him from the jump. We would have seen him more against Texas. Why didn't we see him sooner? It's because they didn't really trust him, presumably to throw the football.
Right.
I think at this point also we know a lot more about Michigan than we do USC. So I was trying to find the right comp, given the way I think Michigan will play. Is it fair to say that this game has a little bit of USC-Utah in it?
In that, like, what we've seen from that matchup lately?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Bryson Barnes taking it to USC?
That is focus on defense.
Okay.
From the Michigan side. That is a focus on the ground game, obviously, from the Michigan side. It's a focus on the playmaking tight end. I say that kind of broadly speaking because Colston Loveland hurt his arm. He might not play.
Yeah,
but it could be Marlon Klein, who is a 6'6" junior from Köln, Germany.
Great.
Schemes are different, but I do think the general philosophy is similar enough.
Okay.
In that we have seen this ground and pound game work before against USC. Previous iterations of USC, maybe before they renovated the defense, who knows? So I kept coming back to that, trying to figure out, all right, how do I feel about this game? And I wanted to ask you, do you think that's a fair comparison?
Somewhat. Although here's the thing with this year's Michigan. They're getting credit defensively for something that they maybe shouldn't be. Like, they have legit NFL players on this defense. Didn't really matter against Texas. Fresno moved the ball. Arkansas State moved the ball. I don't know if it's a Wink Martindale thing. I don't know if it's a depth thing. I don't know if it's a pass rush thing. I don't know if it's the offense is doing this defense no favors thing based on the turnovers and inability to sustain longer drives, which is part of like the Harbaugh ball model, right? That you are servicing your defense successfully. You're playing complementary football. Defense has not been incredible this year. And if we're going to look at who's on this defense, especially on the line, corner, and the secondary, and that maybe the defense just isn't being called correctly or isn't organized correctly, we're giving talent a boost over results, it feels like. And all these guys are going to be drafted pretty, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham and Will Johnson are the big highlights here. But, like, they haven't performed like the Michigan defense of the past couple seasons in their short season this year. So that's my first point on it. You're right about the Alex Orji thing, where it's just like, Sherrone Moore saying that, he can throw. Like, well, you've exclusively not trusted him to throw, which is sort of an actions over words thing. So that's concerning to me. But yeah, there is that element where it's like the flash and the speed of USC against the Utah line play. Although I haven't been crazy about Michigan's offensive line either.
That's the thing. I'm really hung up on this game for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
The first is the quote unquote Utah plan, if we want to call it that. That only works if Alex Orji can throw a little and doesn't make a dumb mistake.
Yeah.
And it seems clear, again, they didn't really trust him to not make the mistakes or throw at all. That's why he didn't play.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you come back to the line. And I think you're right to do that because the line is not getting a push.
The center play hasn't been great to me. The right side hasn't been great. The right tackle, I don't know. Not great.
And I think this is where the battle is won and lost. Right now, Michigan 89th in rushing yards before contact. And USC is 112th, right? So Michigan's given up a ton of pressure on whoever their quarterback is. Maybe that's a function of their quarterback play. Who knows? But it's just been like this push-pull along the line, not to make a dumb pun, but I really am curious to see which of those two sides of the equation ends up winning out here because USC may be better. They're definitely better at tackling. I think that bears itself out in the numbers that I've seen. But in terms of getting some of their own push up front, they have not yet gotten to that point. They may never. And on the Michigan side, for sure, they're not as good as they were a year ago. You factor in the quarterback pressure. If that's something that USC can dial up, then this game gets interesting. I'm just really leery about this position for USC because generally over my however many years of doing this show, I always pick the team with what I think is the better offense. Mm-hmm. And more often than not, I'm wrong. And especially when that team is on the road.
Yeah. Well, especially if you have 2 data points with USC. That's it at this moment.
That's it, right? We don't have much to go on. So I went back and forth in this one a bunch of times. Where did you come down here?
Well, I've scribbled out my answer a bunch of times. I have USC wins tight 24-17. So does that have them covering in this moment? 6.5 points?
I have it at 5.5, but it's moving around.
Yeah, I see there's a little bit of movement. It opened at, I think, Michigan like minus 10.5 in the offseason. Yeah. And so, like a 17-point swing in some books. So here's the concern with USC. The concern is, what does moving the ball consistently well against LSU actually mean in this moment after we've seen it again happen with LSU against South Carolina, both through the air and on the ground, allowing those explosive plays. I don't hold that against USC, but
it's the same conversation we just had about Clemson and App State, right?
Yes.
You don't know how much to value that.
Right. I am positive USC's defense by showing what they saw against what I'm positive are talented LSU offensive players. I'm positive USC's defense is improved, perhaps dramatically so, just by tackling better, lining up in the right place, running the correct scheme, maybe starting the correct players. It's not Bear Alexander, not in the starting lineup. I think it's Nate Clifton starting at one of those defensive tackle spots. So perhaps, juggling the personnel in a smarter way. I don't know. Whatever, I'm positive USC's defense is better. I think the only way, truly, Michigan can win this game is if, over the course of a week, that they can do their own juggling of offensive scheme. Because I don't think you can play Harbaugh ball. I don't think you can play ground and pound. Like, I don't even know if their starting running back should be their starting running back. Kalel Mulling looks better than Donovan Edwards.
He does.
The cover guy on the NC or the College Football 25 game. So if over the course of 5 or 6 days, Michigan can sort of shift things up and maybe, it's a little like creative, fast pickleball, more RPO stuff. The receivers aren't big. They're not big and physical. Colson Loveland might not even be on the field. So if they can get super creative, I don't know the background too extensively of this new Michigan offensive coordinator, but like that's what they can keep USC on their heels at home with a talented defense. Then I could see Michigan making this more of a game or even pulling this game out. But I don't know. I have my doubts about Michigan's ability and stubbornness to run a certain kind of system that is their like identity with a capital I. So I'm going USC by a touchdown, 24-17.
I'm going to take Michigan plus 5.5. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least confident, 10 being most, I'm a solid 1.
I mean,
I have no idea. I think USC is the better team.
It goes with the like defense at home as a dog, right? That's one of my like central tenets. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Michigan plus the points at home. It is the kind of matchup, even if it's not Utah-esque, that has given Lincoln Riley fits over the years. And we're talking about a very physical team that likes to beat you on the ground. He's never always he's always kind of had a hard time solving that, right? So from that standpoint,
if Michigan has the line to do that, though.
If they've got the line.
I mean, they want to. I want to dunk all the time. I just don't have the legs to do so.
24-20, I've got USC winning.
Okay.
Notably, if USC does beat Michigan, be the first time they've logged a road-ranked win outside of Los Angeles since November 12th in 2016.
So does that mean UCLA? They've beaten a ranked UCLA, tech, quote unquote, on the road?
I think
Pasadena?
So. Yeah, okay. I think so. You got to go way back 2016 when they beat number 4 Washington.
That's right. Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
Nice.
Yep. All right, let's go to 4 p.m. on the Fox Network. I believe this is probably a Gus game.
You see where Fox is going for Big Noon Saturday?
I did not.
Heavyweight battle, Ty. Heavyweight battle. The Ohio State University, the Marshall Thundering Herd. It's all happening. And I think Fox is doing Oklahoma State, Utah. Is that what you're getting into right now?
I'm going to Utah versus Oklahoma State.
They're not, from what I saw, Big Noon Saturday is not going to be in Stillwater, weirdly enough.
Utah -2 on the road at Oklahoma State, games at 4 p.m. It does appear as if Cam Rising is good to go, which brings us to our Wendy's Saucy Nugget of Week 4, Dan.
Saucy Nugget. That's our sound.
This one was pointed out by our friends over on College Sports Only on Twitter. The combined age of quarterbacks in this game, i.e. Cam Rising and British comedy legend Alan Bowman, will be 49 years of age, Dan. 2 seventh-year quarterbacks.
You could have graduated with Ty. Continue.
49, Dan. You've had Wendy's Saucy Nugs dipped in sauce. Have you ever had them covered in sauce? Because Wendy's new Saucy Nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love, turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker, Dan, try spicy ghost pepper only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare you. I dare you. 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before, Dan.
I want to receive a case of nugs on my doorstep. I think a case of saucy nugs in college football, great pairing.
For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's. Okay. Saucy nug out of the way. 49! That's a lot. I have been high on Utah. I've been high on Utah since the conference move.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're the best team in the conference. Nothing's really changed my mind on that front. That said, what K-State did to Arizona has me thinking a little bit more intently about it. What Oklahoma State has done so far has me thinking a little bit more about it. I think Alan Bowman's been really impressive through the air.
Yeah.
That gap has definitely been narrowed. Something. I can't tell you how much, but to some extent it's been narrowed between Utah and the next best teams in the conference. So we look at this game. In terms of efficiency, and this speaks to the point you made on Tuesday, passing offense has sort of carried the Pokes thus far.
Yeah, I mentioned maybe something, maybe nothing, but Ollie Gordon has been somewhat ordinary. The running game, I should say, overall has been somewhat ordinary.
If you want to look at a stat, I mentioned EPA before. It's just, there's a million of these advanced stats that we could conjure up here, but EPA is a good one. Measures the value pretty much of every play. if you look at EPA per dropback versus EPA per rush, they're getting way more bang for the buck out of the passing game. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at here?
I mean, look, it depends how much you believe in, I suppose, the Arkansas defense or the Tulsa defense based on what you think about Oklahoma State, because we really haven't seen the Pokes tested, but that's okay. We really haven't seen Utah tested. I think, Baylor's defense has certainly turned a corner with Dave Aranda calling things, and so they were able to slow down-ish Utah. Hard to see that, though, because Cam Rising left that game relatively early on, and I don't think played in that second half against Baylor. So we don't have a ton of data on either of these teams. It seems like we have more on Oklahoma State. So what'd you say, 2.5 points? Utah's favored by 2.
I've got it at 2, yeah.
On the road at Oklahoma State. Our friend Jeff Schwartz sent us the number. It was something like Cam Rising at home is 13-0 as a starter, and then on the road, neutral site, 7-6, which is pretty dramatic. Which is a pretty dramatic change.
I feel like everybody's worse on the road, though. That's a dramatic number.
It's a dramatic number.
Granted.
Of course, everybody's worse road and neutral, and they've played obviously some very tough teams on the road and in bowl games. But I think the Pokes are decent, even though I don't love the defense here. I think they're going to be able to score some, not as much as usual, on this Utah defense, and I'm just not sure about Utah's own ability to keep up at times because it's going to be a frenzied environment. The game's going to go into the night. What'd you say, 4 p.m. local kick?
4 p.m. local.
Okay.
4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern, so 3 p.m. local. I don't know.
3 p.m.
Stillwater's
Yep.
Time zone, but I think it's Central. It'll go into the evening where I think it's going to be even more frenzied. I'm taking the Pokes as home dogs here, and I think it's going to be relatively close. And last year is when we really started saying winning is a skill. I think Oklahoma State has that skill, and not that Utah doesn't, but at home, I think I'm going to give the edge to the quarterback I trust more to go downfield and has the weapons to go downfield, because that's been the constant thing on Utah. So, yeah, I'm going Cowboys here. I'm going to say, what did I write down score-wise? 27-23.
I think this is an Ashanti game for me. As the wise prophet once said, it's about trust, babe.
It's also Fat Joe saying it, to be clear.
A little bit of Fat Joe in that. A little bit of Fat Joe in that clip. It's interesting to me that you trust British comedy legend Alan Bowman.
Why is that?
Because I don't trust him at all.
He's won some big games for Oklahoma State.
He's played really well this year.
Yeah.
I don't trust him in high leverage situations.
Okay.
I don't. I trust Cam Rising more, provided he's healthy. I trust the Utah defense
sore hand.
more.
Yeah.
I trust the Utah defense and their quarterback situation more. Now, Cam Rising's got to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something we can assume at this point with this dude who can now fully rent a car without paying the surcharge. Yes.
It's great.
Of note. I'm on Utah 26-21 here.
Okay. We disagree.
We do. I trust what Kyle Whittingham has built. I trust Cam Rising, provided he's healthy, and I trust that defense more than anything on the Oklahoma State side. Also, I'd be a huge hypocrite if I went against Utah at this point. All I've been saying all year long is how Utah is going to win the Big 12 in their first year over.
Right.
So I got to stick to my guns a little bit here and go Utah.
Yeah. There is something about pop at either receiver or running back, and I like Micah Bernard, but there is something about but it goes a long way to silencing the crowd, that when you see those big explosive plays, that can be something that tames a hostile crowd. And Utah just feels like they've never had that receiver, that kind of explosive element to their offense. I don't know.
7:30 on ABC. It is Tennessee.
Oh, man.
-7 on the road at Oklahoma, Dan. I've been workshopping a little something I wanted to run by you here if I could. Tennessee's quarterback, Nico Iamaleava.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Iamaleava.
For this week only, can we go Nico Oklahoma?
I'm really hurting with that one. I got to be honest with you.
Oklahoma.
Like maul, like a dog mauls a victim.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it in my appendix, Ty. I'm feeling a discomfort over that nickname, which tells me it's excellent and special.
This is what I do on the show.
Yeah. No, it's
this is my brand, the dumb nickname.
it's a terribly hurtful nickname to anybody who has at all been successful creatively. I'm not saying that's me, but I feel for those out there who have been successful creatively. To hear you say that, it's a tough beat. Continue.
So I've been getting pounded with these text messages from Oklahoma people now because I asked for them. I brought this on myself. And the question was, hey, guys and gals, what are the vibes in Oklahoma land? Because it didn't feel like the vibes are great. I'd like to know why. And as I've said a couple times over now, gotten different responses to that. The commonality is the vibes are not good, but some people blame the run, other people blame the pass, other people blame the play callers, the line. It's a whole spectrum of excuses that I've heard from Oklahoma people. But in general, Oklahoma people are feeling a little bit down about things right now. I have been trying to unpack this as best I can. I looked at stats. I watched games as best I could from the young season. I think it comes down first and foremost to line play.
Okay.
Which I talked about in my Oklahoma preview. I remember saying that this was going to be a weak spot for this team, or at least the biggest question mark for this team. And I sort of panned it because you like the line coach. Bill Bedenbaugh is a really good line coach.
Bedenbaugh?
And the assumption...
Bah.
I have Bedenbaugh. I don't know.
Okay.
Is it Bedenbaugh?
Yeah, I think so. I don't... come on. We're equally dumb. Continue.
He's a master at rebuilding lines.
Yeah.
So you just assume it's going to get there at some point. Clearly, it is not there yet. And so going into a game like this against a really good defensive line, Tennessee, it's hard for me to see that suddenly improving. I've been saying for a long time, don't trust stats. It's early. And that is true. But here's an example of how multiple data points and multiple stats at this point in the season can be pieced together to tell a story.
Yeah.
If we're trying to figure out what's going on with Oklahoma, right? This is an offense that has not shown any explosion whatsoever. That's reflected in the stats with success rates. Success rates both offensively in terms of the pass, offensively in terms of their rushing attack are way down.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you don't even need the stats. You can just watch Oklahoma games and be like, something's wrong. Yeah.
You can just watch it. All right. Both of those are among the worst in college football. The kicker, though, to add insult to injury, is that they're also 110th in how much pressure they're allowing on their quarterback. So it's kind of a lose-lose proposition, right? You can't run because if you do, you get off schedule. You can't pass because the quarterback doesn't have time. And then where I'm going with this is the offense ends up going 3 and out a third of the time, which is also not good. You factor in they've been injured out wide. That's not helped. It's just a lot that's not working. That's not to say it's all on the line, but I think the line is one of the primary reasons why it just hasn't gone well so far. They will have a hard time running in this game. That stat about giving up a lot of pressure is not going away for this game because Tennessee's very good.
Yeah, they brings it.
Very, very good up front. I still think pretty highly of Jackson Arnold. I do, but he's going to be running for his life here. So I want to see what they can do to try and mitigate that because they have not been able to protect him as much as I think.
Leading rusher, Jackson Arnold, sir.
Leading rusher.
Not a good thing, by the way.
No. I'm curious to see if Seth Luttrell tries to incorporate more screens, that type of thing. I went on PFF. I looked. They've thrown screen passes about 11% of the time, so it's not a huge part of what they have done so far this season. Doesn't mean anything. It's early, but would be curious to see if that's something that's in the playbook this week, given the fact that they're going up against such a good pass rush. It just feels like a really bad matchup to me.
Yeah.
It just feels like a really bad matchup to me. I do think that Tennessee will also have a hard time running the football because I do think highly of Oklahoma's defense, but I don't think they're going to have as much trouble protecting Nico. And I do think that it's going to come down to whichever quarterback has the most success through the air.
Sure.
That team for me is Tennessee. And I like Tennessee handily. I've got them 31-17 in this game.
I'm not going to lie. When you started talking about the Oklahoma stat profile, and then you said, and here's the kicker, I thought you were going to talk about that they have an incredible kicker that would make up for everything that you had just said. They can't run, they can't pass, but my God, they're going to
They
kick
have
the
someone
hell out
that
of
we
this ball.
call Legatron.
Right.
No.
That like, I see this guy going 10, 12 field goals deep. I was really hoping that's where you're going with that, and I was kind of sad
He
you
can
weren't.
play for the Commanders next year.
The other element you neglected was, and I don't know if you have the murder sound drop from the late Andre Brower.
I do have it.
Guess who just got
No, something else. What did Andre Brower say? Oh no, it wasn't murder. It was pain, right?
Oh,
pain.
yeah, I could find that. I have that on here somewhere.
So you forgot the narrative element to all of this, or perhaps you decided not to go through it. But there's the Heupel factor here, with
oh yeah,
the
that's right. I
bad
forgot
blood
about
going
that.
back a decade now. Bob Stoops lets him go, and to his credit, Josh Heupel has said, it's something that, I've left in the past, and I have nothing but fond memories for all my time in Norman. But getting
They
fired,
all say that though, don't
of
they?
course, getting fired after, becoming a legend and a really good coach, and before it didn't work out, moving on to Utah State and Mizzou and UCF and now Tennessee. Now he gets a shot. There it is. Pain.
That's it.
Now to get a shot, Memorial Stadium, to sort of have that triumphant return with what? The best young quarterback in the sport, the best edge rusher in the sport. I don't know what other best Tennessee have in this moment. Maybe the best young receiving core in the sport. Maybe one of the best floppy-eared mascots in the sport, and Smokey.
Clearly.
But to bring that to the place that you were able to, plant your flag as a college football icon. I don't know. There's just extra hot blood coursing through Josh Heupel's system right now. So he'll have the opportunity, I think, to go big with this. Now, if I'm going to call this Slow Down Saturday, Tennessee beat maybe a bad NC State. That's it.
Yeah,
Neutral field.
I know.
They haven't been tested on the road. We're talking, what time is kickoff?
Kickoff 7:30.
7:30. Tough stadium. Home dog. What we perceive to be a strong defense. At some point, there is going to be a team that we had buried and is going to shoot out of the coffin like The Undertaker, right?
Just sit up.
Yes.
Kind of frighten everybody. Yeah.
And there is just something about Brent Venables and this crowd and maybe this defense and this place.
Is this like a promo reel for Oklahoma? What is this?
I'm going to take the points, Ty.
Ugh.
Here's the thing with this sport, Ty. When it seems so obvious, run away. When it seems so obvious.
Tennessee's the better team. Dan.
Tennessee's the better team, but they
They're the better
might not
team.
be the better team Saturday night.
The better team doesn't always win.
So we might get Nick Anderson back as an Oklahoma community, of which I'm now a member. Jaleel Farouk will not be back. Taylor Tatum, I think, the freshman running back, it has been a weirdly good year, or if not very good year, for the highly ranked running backs of the class of 2024. Caden Durham, Nate Frazier at Georgia. Obviously, Taylor Tatum at Oklahoma, the number one back. Jarrett Gibson, that's the Texas guy who's been getting the run. He's been very good. I think there's going to be something in the air, and I'm going to go Oklahoma here. Not outright. What's the number right now at time of recording?
7.
I'm going to say 31-27 Vols. Taking those points.
They're scoring 27 points on Tennessee. They scored 16
David,
2 weeks ago against Houston.
Ty, you're accounting for a lot of things here.
And they needed a safety in the waning moments of the game to get to
I
16.
hear you. Somebody's going to be your Dumb and Dumber and completely redeem yourself program of week 4. It might not be Oklahoma. They may lose this game 51-13. I grant you that. But at some point, I have to stand up and sort of vote with my morals here, Ty. I'm going Oklahoma.
You have no morals.
That's also true.
So we disagree.
We disagree
again.
We disagree. Sorry. We do have that track record, though, of seeing there's going to be somebody.
There will be somebody.
That's it.
All right. So we disagree on that one.
Yes.
We disagreed on the one before.
Mm-hmm. Oklahoma
on
State.
the Utah-Oklahoma State game. We disagreed on USC. We did agree, though, right down to the score on the Clemson-NC State game.
Yeah.
ForBallers.com, PlayRunTheBoard.com, get in on the Pick'em game. All 4 of these games are included in our slate of 12 Again, we're giving away the gift card, $100 gift card. Love to have you in our game if you've made it this far.
Unless go ahead. You're scared to compete.
Unless you're scared
to compete.
Let's build some quads.
Think about the heart, the passion, the love, the commitment, and the energy you're willing to put into it.
So speaking of the energy you're willing to put into it, Dan, I want to give a shout out to all of our longtime Verballers out there. I've got a proposition for you. I teased it at the top of the show.
Ooh.
Here is what we are asking. We do a lot of social media work. Yeah, we're posting this show pretty much every place we can.
Yeah.
Doing as much as we can to get it out there and let people know about the Verballerhood. We are asking you to share our link on your social media feed. It can be Instagram, can be Facebook, can be Twitter, can be anything.
Yeah.
Anywhere, share out the link to this episode to our show. Make sure you tag us so we see it. We want you to get creative with it, okay? A little bit of secret verbal in this. A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to get creative with it. We want you to make sure that you tag us. We're going to go through what will inevitably be a long list of these social postings, and we're going to pick out the one that we had the most fun reading. We're going to send you a code for a free shirt or a free item, let's say, in our Solid Verbal merch store.
Does this include the Ty Hildenbrandt Shiatsu massage?
No, this is not part of that.
GetMassageByTy.com? No?
No.
Damn.
I'm not even going to go to that URL. I don't know what that is. All right, don't start with
I
this
bought
again.
it in 2010. Continue. For this moment.
Go on out there. You know, this is the assignment now. Share this out. Tell your people. Get creative with it. Have fun with it. Make sure you tag us.
Yes.
We will pick our favorite. We will send you a code. It's that easy.
Wow.
You have it by the end of the week. You can order it by the end of
The
the week.
most creative social media sharing of this specific episode.
Get creative.
Okay.
Get creative. So we're building quads. We're starting with the early window.
We can get getmassagedbyty.com for $19 in this
You
moment.
can. I can't. I can't buy that.
I don't know
I'm
if
not
I have
doing.
the $19. Okay.
If that comes through on the credit card statement, Kate's going to wonder. All right? We're not doing that.
All right. Fair.
Early window, I got to say. This is your window of opportunity. So, great opportunity to get out amongst the people, do something early.
Sure.
Catch a matinee of the new Beetlejuice movie. Don't know if you saw that.
Made a ton of money, right?
Ton of money. Beetlejuice.
I always enjoy Beetlejuice.
Go see Cats if you're into that. You can also see a movie called My Old Ass, which might help you get ready for Cam Rising versus Alan
Is
Bowman
it about
later
a
today.
donkey?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm going to look it
It's
up.
produced by Amazon. That's all I saw.
Okay.
Didn't recognize anybody in it, but My Old Ass. Get ready for Cam Rising versus Alan Bowman.
I'm looking on Rotten Tomatoes now, Ty. A humorous cocktail with a twist of coming of age drama.
Great.
Has a good score. 91%.
Great. Maybe go see My Old Ass. Why not?
Richard Roper. Into it. Continue.
Love it. Here are the games that I pulled out for the early window, and you're going to understand very quickly why I said this is the week of the window of opportunity, excuse me. I've only got 3 games in my quad. I need a 4th game. I've got at high noon on ESPN2, Kansas at West Virginia. That's a decent matchup.
Yeah.
I've also got Florida at Mississippi State on ESPN. I've got Tulane at Louisiana. I think that could be a banger of a game. I just don't know who else to put in that quad.
I have
Got a couple options here, but none of these games really jumping out to me as ones that I am super fascinated by that they get that 4th spot for me.
I have Virginia Coastal because of Coastal is undefeated, right?
Yes.
And have looked impressive in doing so, just in terms of the G5
favored.
spot.
Yeah, Virginia's favored.
That often sought after G spot, Ty.
That's true.
By the way, Aubrey Plaza in My Old Ass.
Really?
Yeah. Second billing, a.k.a. Nicole Auerbach. Aubrey Plaza. We love Aubrey Plaza. Shout out to the Pistol Shrimps.
There is a stunning resemblance between Nicole and Aubrey Plaza.
That's my 4th team, Coastal Virginia.
So I'm going West Virginia over Kansas. It might be my last ride with the ears, unless they get a win.
Oh, I love West Virginia over Kansas. I love this one. Even though it's a letdown moment after the Backyard Brawl loss, Kansas's defense. Kansas has struggled to throw the ball, which we saw West Virginia struggle against last week. I don't know. Jalen Daniels without Andy Kotilnicki. Worries me a little bit early.
Now, the next 4 games for West Virginia get dicey.
They do.
It's Oklahoma State, it's Iowa State, it's Kansas State, and it's Arizona. This is that meaty middle, as we've referenced many times over in talking about West Virginia. They're favored by 2.5 in this game. I don't necessarily feel good about going West Virginia, but I'm going to take them anyway. The numbers I saw, I mean, you're not wrong with what you referenced there. The ones I saw were screaming at me to take Kansas, but I'm not going to do it because
Why?
I'm biased. A lot of red in the wrong spots for West Virginia.
Who among us doesn't have any red in our wrong spots? Continue.
A lot of wrong reds on that spreadsheet. That's the main reason why.
I mean, look at what Kansas has been doing throwing against the defenses that they've faced.
I know.
It's not great.
I want to talk about Florida against Mississippi State, though.
That includes UNLV, by the way, in terms of Kansas opponents. Continue.
Correct. Bit of a getaway game for the Gators. So they're headed into a bye week after this game on the road at Mississippi State. If they lose, Billy Napier is going to have to Uber it back to Gainesville.
Yeah.
He's toast. He is not making it through that bye week. Full stop. We mentioned something, though, briefly on Tuesday to the point of confidence in Florida. The opening line was about 4.5. Clearly, that is not a vote of confidence in favor of the Gators from the standpoint of Las Vegas because Mississippi State's in full-on rebuilding mode, Dan.
Yeah, the defense is tough.
I don't think we can rule anything out at this point with respect to Florida or their opponents because my read on both the performances we saw against Miami as well as Texas A&M is that there were genuinely points in that game, both those games, where it felt like Florida quit. And I don't like that.
Okay.
It's one thing if you're losing, but it feels like you're playing whistle to whistle and the full way through. That Miami game, I mean, God, midway through the third quarter, are they even trying? It did not feel like there was a whole lot of effort going on. And I got a little bit of that in the later stages of that game last week against A&M. So I think regardless of where Mississippi State is at with their own rebuild, given that that might be the vibe on the Florida side, Mississippi State's going to be fired up for this game.
Sure.
They're going to be fired up for this game. 6 points. I'm on the Bulldogs plus the points. I kind of don't know what to expect.
But don't you need to
Florida.
like something about Mississippi State? Like, are you like a big Blake Shapen guy? Like, is there something about Mississippi State that you like beyond the like they're vaguely going to be fired up or like the atmosphere will be vaguely interesting a week after losing by 53 to Toledo?
Yeah, 41-17 was the final.
I don't think that affects vibes in like the most positive way.
It does not. But I'm just worried about, more than anything, a Florida quitting scenario.
Okay.
I'm worried that this game, this season, feels like a lost cause.
I'm worried about a Mississippi State not having enough good players scenario.
All right. Well, if that were the case, then the line should be higher.
No, it shouldn't
Why
be
isn't
that
the
high.
line higher? Why isn't the line higher?
Because it's a road game and there's very little faith in Florida's ability week to week to come together to beat even underwhelming teams. But they have beaten the only underwhelming team they've faced this year.
Samford?
Yes.
Sure.
I don't know what Mississippi State is against Samford. I don't know if you can like conjure up that line with your magic algorithm.
No, I don't have that.
I'm going to take Florida here. I think they'll be able to run at them. I don't think they're going to destroy them, but I think they can beat them 28-17 running straight at them with Montreal Johnson. Sure.
I'm going to go Tulane minus whatever against Louisiana. I like Louisiana. I think this is a good matchup. Tulane's favored by 3 on the road. Tulane basically needs to win out, though. Now they've got 2 back-to-back losses, right? Mm-hmm. Lost against K-State. Could have won that game. Lost last week as well against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This is definitely a losable game for the Green Wave, along with Memphis, which is at the end of the year. So they got to win out if they want to have any shot at that G5 spot. I'm going to ride the Green Wave one more time.
Okay.
One more time here. Tulane minus 3.
I'm not. I'm going to take Louisiana coming off a bye at home as a dog. I don't trust their numbers right now because of their opponents, but I'm going to take Louisiana at home as a dog. Just situationally, I think it's a good play. Tulane, one of the most tested teams, if not the most tested team in the country, having now faced Kansas State and Oklahoma. But yeah, I'm still going Raging Cajuns here.
Are you on Virginia at Coastal?
I'm on Coastal.
Oh, you're on Coastal.
I'm on Coastal. I think their offense is gonna be all right against Virginia. Yes.
The other game that I highlighted here, and then we'll move on to the afternoon block, which definitely has more artillery in it.
Yeah.
Charlotte at Indiana. Indiana's favored by 28 points. I would go heavy on Indiana there, minus whatever. I think they are on a mission to score as many points as possible, and Charlotte does not play defense.
Do you know?
At all.
Continue.
That's all I have. No.
Okay. There's a gentleman by the name 6'1", 185. Name is Julian Lewis. I had to double check his name. He is a 247 5-star quarterback, the number 4 quarterback in the nation, currently committed to USC. There are flip rumors that he will flip to Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Kurt Signetti, baby.
That energy, infectious.
It is pervasive, is it not?
I mean, he might have some kind of
here.
He might have some kind of other connection. I'm not deep in the recruiting game to Indiana. That is sort of leading that charge. But I don't know. Nice to see them in that conversation. Our friend Yogi Roth is calling this game. Guy Haberman.
Great.
So I don't know. Indiana's got that juice. I'm also interested in Cincinnati-Houston, just because I think Houston has an interesting defense, even though they can't seem to move the ball. Cincinnati should be able to go right at them on the ground and succeed. So I have Cincinnati there. I have James Madison covering against North Carolina.
I like that.
North Carolina was not able to throw the ball last week, and they did not play anybody. And that worries me about North Carolina's ceiling this year. I think, JM, you can cover this game. I don't think they're going to win that game. Otherwise, I don't have too many thoughts on the other ones in this window.
Let's go to the afternoon block.
Please.
Now my question to you is, how bad do you really want legs?
How bad do you really want that free merch from the Solid Verbal? Make sure you share our posts.
Yes.
That was a nice little segue there.
So on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever these are posted.
Anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Share the post, add something creative. We'll send you something if you're chosen.
Tag unsuspecting friends or media folk.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Folk.
Get creative. 3:30 afternoon block as a whole. I've got these 4 games that I pulled 5 games out, but I'm going to reference these 4. 3:30 ESPN Arkansas at Auburn. Auburn -3 at home.
Yeah.
Interesting matchup. 3:30 we've got Georgia Tech at Louisville. Louisville -10. 5 p.m. on the C-Dub, we've got the Iron Skillet. TCU -3 at SMU. And then we've got Ty's Lock of the Week.
Lock of the week.
Rutgers +3.5 on the road at Virginia Tech. Rutgers is my lock of the week. Zero hesitation from me.
Wow.
I kind of think I tipped my hand on this on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, you did.
I talked about this on Tuesday. I got this one when it was at 5.5. Since then, it's come down. My guess is it could come down further. This is just a really bad matchup for Virginia Tech. And I think we all collectively, as a college football watching and rooting and analyzing public, got a little over our skis with Tech in the preseason because most people like Kyron Drones. He was good at the end of last year. The schedule for Virginia Tech looks beautiful. Rutgers is going to beat their brains in on the ground. With Kyle Monangai, a.k.a. the Gila Monster. They're going to beat the ever-loving snot out of Virginia Tech on the ground. And they're going to win this game outright in Blacksburg.
Wow.
That is my lock of the week.
Rutgers, not a good road team last year.
That was last year.
31-7 to Michigan.
New vibe. New vibe with Ethan Kaliak-Manis, with the Gila Monster back, being a monster.
Scored a combined 6 points against Iowa and Penn State in November last year on the road.
Whatever.
I don't think Virginia Tech has the defense of 2023 Penn State or 2023 Iowa.
Do you disagree with that pick?
No, I have Rutgers emboldened here, just because that is the Ashanti moment for me. Like, I don't know what to trust with Virginia Tech in this moment. I think the best of Kyron Drones is interesting, but week to week, I don't know. Virginia Tech doesn't seem trustworthy to me, and that's the type of team I think Rutgers can, again, they beat them last year in Piscataway, can again take down. So I'm going Rutgers here.
Who are you picking in the Arkansas-Auburn game? Auburn favored by 3.
Went back and forth with this one. I have Arkansas bold on my legal pad here if you're watching on Cheddar. I want to see more out of Hank Brown. I want to see more out of I trust Jarquez Hunter, plenty, but I want to see this Auburn team come together for 4 quarters. And Arkansas at home certainly tested, even though they lost against Oklahoma State. Didn't love how they started out against UAB, but I like how they responded at least. That's some silver lining to be able to come back after going down a couple touchdowns. So I think Arkansas should still be able to move the ball, probably more through the air than on the ground, if memory serves, on Auburn's stat profile and Auburn's season so far. But, I'm going to go with the Hogs at home in a winnable game.
So I screwed it up on the sheet. It's actually Auburn at home.
Oh, then you screwed me again, Ty.
I
Get
did.
massaged by Ty.com. Yeah?
But I'm still with Arkansas.
You have Arkansas on the road. Hold on. This changes things. You wrote it down incorrectly, and I trusted you.
I did. And you know what? I changed it on mine, and I didn't tell you.
Oh, my God. Okay, hold on. I got to see it visually. Arkansas at Auburn. I'm typing this out. This is good listening. And
this is the most betrayal you may have ever felt from me.
And who's favored here, Ty? I want to get this information correct.
Auburn favored by a field goal at home.
Auburn -3 against Arkansas at home.
Yeah.
You know what? If in my marrow I said Arkansas before, I'm going to stick with it, even though I haven't fully thought it through. I'm going to go Arkansas.
My apologies. 3:30. It's Georgia Tech at Louisville. Louisville -10. Close game last year.
Yeah.
Close game. Louisville came back from a 15-point deficit. I want to say they won on the road in Atlanta. Kind of hard to judge where Louisville's at this year. We know next to nothing about them.
Coming off a bye.
Played anyone. Coming off a bye. It should be there for Tyler Shuck to have a big game through the air.
I agree.
It should be there because Tech still has this liability on defense. I just don't want to lay 10 against Tech. They're feisty as hell. So I'm going to go Tech plus whatever here.
Okay, but what they did against Florida State has been downgraded because it's sort of take a ticket and collect your win against Florida State at this moment.
Sure.
So we say, I guess Georgia Tech should have beaten Florida State. And they did. They did what was expected of them in hindsight.
In hindsight.
I like the situational play because I like the Louisville receivers. I'm pretty sure I like the Louisville defense. And I think there are more ways for Louisville to win at home, again, after a bye. I'm going to give those points. I'm going to put my faith in Jeff Brom with time. So
I think Louisville wins. I think they win, but I think it's something like 38-30. I think there are a lot of points in this game.
Nah, I'm 33-19. I know this game was somewhat high scoring last year to start the year, and Georgia Tech gave up a late-ish lead. But no, I think Louisville's in good shape here. 33-19.
Skillet game.
Yeah.
TCU SMU. This is a rivalry. Throw the records out. I'm not going to play the sound. I'm just fully out on SMU, man. They did me dirty. Probably my worst prediction ever. And this goes all the way back to that one year when I think it was just Kirk Herbstreit and me who picked Arizona State to go to the playoff.
Yeah, Todd Graham team, yeah.
So I'm out on SMU. They are definitely not what I thought SMU was going to be. They're not winning the ACC. They're not going 12-0. They're not going anywhere close to 12-0. TCU, I thought TCU showed some smoke last couple weeks.
Yeah, and right up until they were up 28-7 against UCF. Yeah.
So I'm on TCU. I like TCU here, minus whatever.
I'm on TCU as well, just because as much as SMU's defense could be interesting and fun at home, and this is also coming, is it coming off of a bye or not? I don't have that on me. I think I trust the pop of TCU's offense a little bit more through the air. And even again, that's the really fun matchup is TCU throwing the ball against SMU on defense. In a rivalry game, I'm still going to go TCU because I think I believe in them going downfield more than anything else in this game.
So the two other games that I highlighted here very quickly, and this is just for my own purposes, Notre Dame going up against another MAC team as a 28-point favorite at home. Just saying. Let's see if this one goes a little bit better against Miami, Ohio. For whatever that's worth, Notre Dame's licking its wounds along both lines, both Jordan Botelho. They also lost their right guard for the year. So it's been an injury-riddled couple weeks here for the Irish, notably last week when they lost some big guns along the trenches, but we'll see what happens. The game, though, that's of interest to me is at 6 p.m., ECU against Liberty.
It's a really nice game.
So Liberty's favored by 6.5 points here. And I kind of like ECU plus the points because this is far and away the best defense that Liberty's going to see all year. And it's a look-ahead spot.
Who does Liberty have?
Because they've got App State on deck. That's going to be a really big game next week. One of the games that we're going to have to highlight and talk more about.
Of course.
Liberty against App State. So we saw what ECU did to App State and their offense a week ago, held them to just 21 points. I would like this line a little bit more if it were at 7 and not 6.5, but I still like it. I still think ECU with that defense is enough of a changeup for Liberty in this offense that they can keep this one within that number.
Who've struggled to separate for stretches, Liberty this year.
Yeah, they have. They have. And with the look-ahead element, I don't know. Feels like a good situation to take the points.
I almost think it's a letdown moment, though, for ECU, giving up the lead that they gave up, right?
It's possible.
To go on the road and take on a pretty decent Liberty team. Yeah, I think I'm going to give those points. I think Liberty wins this one. By the way, I'm taking the points with Miami, Ohio against Notre Dame.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I mean, what conference is Miami of Ohio in? We're talking about Marcus Freeman here. So
Yeah.
let's go. Let's go Notre Dame to win.
That's the meanest thing you've ever said in your life.
What, Marcus Freeman? Is that not a thing yet?
I haven't heard it yet.
Okay. I'm going to go Miami to cover and still lose this game 31-10.
Man, I should hit stop right now. That's so mean.
Earned?
It is earned. It is earned.
NIU
Let's
in the
move on.
driver's seat.
Welcome to the pain zones where we live.
Speaking of pain zones, that comment.
Yeah.
Which ESPN 2, 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Cal at Florida State. This game has sort of its own subplot altogether.
It's great.
Have you gotten caught up in the
Of
Calgorithm
course I
yet?
have. That's such a great
Out
turn.
out on social media. Cal Twitter. I didn't know Cal Twitter had this kind of game.
It's great.
I don't know if anybody did, but they're fully steering into every caricature and stereotype that may exist about the university and the state and a whole bunch of other stuff that we won't get into here.
It's great.
And they've had a lot of fun with it, and it is funny as hell. So if you haven't gotten caught up in the Calgorithm
Take a peek.
on your own yet, I would encourage you to go out there and check it out. Meanwhile, with respect to this game, it's Cal at Florida State. Florida State favored by 2. Have you looked at Florida State's stat profile at all?
No, because I've watched the games, and that's enough Florida State for one person to handle in a fall.
This might be one instance where I think you can trust it
Okay?
through a couple weeks in the year because they've played 3 decent teams. Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis a week ago. Interestingly enough, in like a cruel bit of symmetry, Florida State has undershot its offensive projection by almost exactly 18 points in all 3 of their games so far this season. Almost to the number, 18. What does that mean? If that holds true in the Cal game, they'd score about 10 points.
Man.
And so you hear that and you say, well, but then you consider, well, they only scored 12 against Memphis. We didn't think Memphis was going to have much of a defense. I'm not saying they score 10 points. I think they'll score more than 10 points. But it stands to reason that there's a lot going on with this team that trend, even if it's a little bit better, is going to continue against a Cal defense that I think is okay.
Yeah.
So I think we are getting to this point now, especially with Florida State, where this is the mistake I made a week ago. I looked at that matchup and I said, well, they have way more talent than Memphis. And they do. But we're not at the point anymore where we can just blindly look at the talent and say, that's good enough to carry them through, because there are deeper issues at play here. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but give me Cal plus the points.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking Cal plus the points.
Are we going to turn this into Tallahassee?
It's good. I enjoyed that, the Calgorithm in Tallahassee. Also a look-ahead spot, right? Florida State has SMU on the road next week. Maybe their most winnable moment, according to the exact inverse of your season prediction.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm going Cal here. I just don't think I don't think you can turn around this Florida State battle cruiser here, and so I'm going Cal by, I don't know, 8 to 12 points here.
That much?
Yeah.
In Tallahassee?
Oh, you're calling it Tallahassee for a reason. 21-10 Cal.
I cannot wait to see what Cal Twitter looks like if this happens.
What reason do you possibly have? Here's the other question, right? Okay, so let's say Florida State wins 3 games this year. Let's say they follow up a season in which they arguably should have been in the college football playoff, a 14 playoff, and are just right on the edge there. Obviously, they lose the bowl game in embarrassing fashion. And they go 3-9. You're talking like sub 4-8, Brian Kelly, Mark Helfrich, whatever, like quality coaches. And now Mark Helfrich got fired, but Brian Kelly was able to turn him around, but got a lot of crap going 4-8. You do worse than that? Starting as a top 10 team? Has Mike Norvell done enough to keep that job?
Mike Norvell almost got hired by Bama.
Yeah. He was on that short list.
I can't see them getting rid of Norvell. I can't see it. This has been a bad year. It's already been a bad year. And it might not get better. No, they can't. I mean, they just re-upped him. He's getting like $10 million a year, isn't he? I guess not. Get rid of him. I understand the argument for it. Clearly, this is disappointing.
I guess it's good that at the same time, Florida is horrendous. And Billy Napier is horrendous. He's even more obviously on the hot seat. I shouldn't say horrendous. Words have meanings. Florida's not horrendous. They're disappointing.
They're very disappointing. But high times if you're a Miami fan right now.
Oh, it's the best.
High times if you're a UCF fan.
Well, we'll get to Miami USF in a moment. Continue.
We'll get to Miami USF. Who wins the rock fight between Iowa and Minnesota? We've got Iowa minus 2.5 on the road in Minneapolis.
You sure? You're sure it's in Minneapolis?
I'm sure it's in Minneapolis. The over-under is 35.5.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what kind of game you're getting here. Iowa favored by 2.5.
I think Bill C's prediction was like Iowa 17.8 to Minnesota 17.3 was the margin and the score total.
So you got to take the points, right?
I guess you have to take the points if you are a believer in that prediction. I'm going with Iowa here, actually. So Minnesota won this game last year, right? Was this the Cooper DeJean game? When the wave, not wave situation?
Right.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was that who? I'm pretty sure it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Floyd of Rosedale? Am I correct in that too? Is this the Floyd of Rosedale game, Ty? Do some fact checking for me. I'm almost positive this is Floyd.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Floyd.
So, a lot on the line here. So this is look, if we were having questions about these two quarterbacks, right? Cade McNamara's certainly had some low moments this year. They scored nearly 40 against Troy last week. Iowa did. Minnesota had an impressive win. They generated turnovers against Nevada, but I think did they have 2 scoring drives or 2 touchdown drives in this game against Nevada on the road? Because I think they had a short field and they just weren't able to do much else in terms of scoring touchdowns. So score not necessarily indicative of overwhelming Nevada. They certainly didn't overwhelm Nevada with the passing game. So as much as you are nose to bros, what is your nickname here?
It's bros before
bros
nose.
before nose, excuse me. Yeah, I have a few no's for Minnesota here. So I'm going to go with Iowa on the road. I think there are more ways for them to win, and I don't necessarily trust Minnesota's defense in this moment. I think it's good, for sure good, but I don't fully trust it like I do Iowa's.
You don't trust them against Iowa's offense? That's a statement.
2 great running backs, by the way, and Darius Taylor, Caleb Johnson. That's a nice matchup, but no, not fully.
I would trust pretty much any defense against this Iowa offense. I still don't think they're good. Minnesota's my home dog of the week.
Have fun.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
I'm probably going to buy this one up to 3.
Okay.
Minnesota plus the 3. And I'm going to do so while yelling at the top of my lungs, Ta-U-Ma, into the cool, crisp autumn air.
Pennsylvania air. Yeah.
Got to go Minnesota, baby. This is going to be a close game. I have no idea who wins this game.
Okay.
But I want the points. Here you go. Miami USF. Miami favored by 16.5 on the road against the Bulls. So you got.
I have USF covering.
So do I.
I have them covering at home because they are able to sort of frustrate teams, as we saw against Alabama, up front on defense. They're swarmy. They get pressure. And Miami appears to be healthier along the offensive line than they've been earlier this year, that they're getting a guy or two back. But I still think there is something about USF, the way that they play offense. They're going to take some shots. Byron Brown's going to extend plays that they're not going to be run away from. The number is what, 16, 17 points?
16.5.
16 and a half. I don't know. I think they can keep it within that. So I think they lose by, 10 to 13 points. So I'm going to say 28-17 Miami.
Night game, sort of the de facto title game for USF, yeah?
Oh, my God. De facto Super Bowl. Absolutely. In-state,
Yeah,
USF at night. Yeah.
Give me the points. We go points in a situation like that.
And I think Miami's good.
I do think Miami's good. And then a couple other ones here that I just pulled out. The one that I'm putting in the quad is Michigan State, Boston College.
Okay.
Boston College at home, 6.5-point favorite. I'm on Michigan State plus the points, though. I don't think they win. I think it's a 3-4 point affair.
Yeah.
I think the narrative that I'm going to latch on to now with Michigan State is that Michigan State is plucky and Michigan State is feisty, that they're still not going to qualify for a bowl, but they are in every game. They are playing whistle to whistle, and if nothing more, it seems like they're more organized.
Is Michigan State 3-0 in this moment?
Michigan State is one of those surprise 3-0 teams.
So you think they're going to win 2 more games the rest of the way? You said they don't think they're going to win?
I'm saying I don't know what they're going to do.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like we saw improvement already through just a couple weeks of the season. I don't feel like Boston College is that head and shoulders above, frankly, anybody.
Well,
so far, I like
but
Boston
Florida
College.
State.
Right, but Florida State. I like Boston College. I think they're going to be solid in their own right. But I also think Michigan State's going to be better, perhaps, than we thought at first. The defense is legitimately pretty good.
Yeah, defense
so
okay.
Give me the points. Give me the points plus the 6.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give those points. I think Boston College is. I think there's still work to be done, and I don't trust Aiden Childs on the road at night, away from home, because that's what on the road means. A little too turnover prone for me, so I think BC can win this by 10.
Only 2 other points here. Baylor plays Colorado. 8 p.m. on Fox. Colorado favored by 1.5 points, which feels low to me. That feels unnecessarily low. So I'm not making a pick on this game. I have no idea who I'm picking here. I'm just curious to see how this game unfolds, because when I looked at that, generally what I do before I put any of the point spreads in here, I'll just put the matchups down.
Yeah.
And then when the point spreads come out, as I'm going through, I try to guess what they are, try to react to them, and jot down my gut instinct. And I thought this one would be way higher in favor of Colorado.
Oh, I'm going to take the points here. Baylor's
You're going
defense,
Baylor
again,
plus 1.5.
Yes. I think Baylor can win this game outright. And look, they're playing at altitude, right? Baylor's acclimated. Baylor just played at Utah, did they not?
They did.
Baylor, I believe, you can look this up and fact check me live. Do they have the number 1 most efficient defense in America in this moment?
I believe they do.
The pass defense is very good. The pass rush has been good. Blitzing has been very good. I don't know. If you get after the quarterback well, I mean, you got to consider the teams they've played. But if you get after the quarterback well, it's a pretty nice quality to have if you're going against Colorado and that offensive line.
It's a Dave Aranda defense now.
I think this is a nice matchup. I think Baylor's winning this game. I don't love Baylor this year long term, but I think it's advantageous. Yeah.
Baylor plus 1.5. You're taking the points.
Well, if it seems like a weird number, like if you thought that like Colorado should be favored by 4.5, 5.5 points at home at night against a Baylor team that is now on to its backup quarterback and Sawyer Robertson, who was good against Air Force, then you're like, well, Colorado, this is a winnable game for Colorado. Why is that number so tiny, microscopic?
Right.
We're going Baylor here.
All right. The only other one I pointed out here, I think I talked about this one earlier in the week, but Bowling Green at A&M. A&M favored by a couple touchdowns, 23 points. But I think Bowling Green is a good team. And so this is not me saying they're going to win the game, but they did go to State College and give Penn State all they could handle.
Right.
Just curious to see what this one looks like. Curious to see how long Bowling Green hangs around. I probably would not lay the number against Bowling Green simply because I think we saw a little bit of what they're capable of.
Yeah.
The MAC's very interesting because it's not just Toledo and Miami the way we assumed at the start of the year. It's also Northern Illinois.
Sure.
Obviously beat Notre Dame. They're ranked. Bowling Green, I think, has acquitted itself pretty well. So maybe 4 teams at the top of the MAC that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, the MAC is just the coordinated prison attack from Breaking Bad, right? Where they're just like going after major teams one by one. I like Bowling Green to cover. This is a slowdown moment for me with Texas A&M, especially because I think we appreciated the Marcel Reed experience last week against Florida, but it's still backup quarterback. We still don't know the quarterback. If it's Marcel Reed, if it's Connor Wegman at the time of recording, I don't know if we know. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe to the Bays craze here and Connor Bazelak. So Let's go Bowling Green plus the points. They don't win this game, but they're feisty.
I'll also give you a chance to pick the 10:30 game, which is K-State on the road at BYU. K-State favored by 6.5. You going to go with your boy Retzlaff?
BYU's been interesting this year. Who did they just beat? SMU?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Maybe a letdown moment, but a little extra time because they played on a Friday night. I'm going to go BYU to cover here. I don't know if they win, but maybe they're feisty this year. Maybe they're feisty. Maybe it's a nice situational moment. So I'm going to go BYU at home, at altitude in Provo. By the way, you didn't mention one game in the afternoon window, which I think is actually kind of interesting. Texas Tech, Arizona State.
Texas Tech, Arizona State. Tech favored by 3.
Yeah.
At home. Yeah.
They absolutely. Who did Texas Tech? They laid the lumber last week. Was it North Texas?
Yes.
Who did they immediately? Yeah. They scored. It was like 50, not 50, but it was like 28-0 in the first quarter. It was something ridiculous. Arizona State, interesting. I'm going Texas Tech here. I think it's a tough place to win. I hate selecting this Texas Tech defense, which has been crazy disappointing. Abilene Christian and Washington State were able to move the ball kind of at will. Arizona State is interesting to me, but I'm going Texas Tech. But that's borderline quad over the Skillet game for me.
There you go. That does it for this week of picks on the Solid Verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know what to do on the social medias. Please do tag us. Share out the episode. We're going to pick our favorite. We'll send you a coupon for a free piece of gear from the Solid
Your
Verbal
choice.
merch store.
Yeah.
If you are on the go, and if you're in the market for live college football games and podcasts in pristine audio form.
Yes.
Helpful reminder here, Varsity Network app. Download the Varsity Network app. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it in the Apple App Store. You can get it on the Google Play Store. Search for your school. Voila, you've got all the content you want. We're on there. Our friends over at the Sickos Committee, they're on there as well.
Stevie Speedrun?
Stevie Speedrun is over there.
Stephen
Hand in the
Hartzell?
dirt. Podcasts. Of course, College Football Blitz. Get all this fun stuff by listening to the Varsity Network app. I've had it on my phone now for,
It's great.
God, as long as it's been out.
Same.
It's like a staple for me, given what we do.
I went on Hartzell and Michael Felder's show, and it ended with us talking about food and Michael Felder recommending to everybody listening, please save your carcasses for stocks and broth.
Did you talk to Stephen Hartzell about his nickname on our show, Stevie Speed?
I didn't have the opportunity. They wanted to talk a lot about Oregon, and then they wanted to talk about food, and God, they scratched me right where I itch.
You might never talk to him ever again. You missed the chance.
I think I will. I feel good about my chances.
That does it for week 4, one and all.
Unless
Slow down Saturday.
Slow down Saturday. Unless you want to quickly drop that big, stanky, writhing, convulsing drum and fife for me.
Here we go, Pat League.
Pat Ivy.
Pat Ivy, Princeton at Lehigh. High noon. This one being played at Lehigh, where you and I sat at the 50-yard line in very cold temperatures in January.
Yes, we did.
This past year. I'm going Lehigh here. Why not?
I have Lehigh here against Princeton. The Ivy League teams, yet to play a single game this season.
12 noon, Lafayette on the road at Columbia, Dan.
Oh, Lafayette. An overwhelming offense here for the Yetis.
Got to go Yetis. 1 p.m. Brown at Georgetown. We just assume Georgetown, right? Multi-sport field.
Of course. Brown's untested. They haven't played a game. You're going to start your season at the Hornets' Nest that is multi-sport field? I don't think so.
Fordham on the road at Dartmouth. Fordham still licking its wounds from that CentCon game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Fordham might be having a rebuilding, a down year this year. Even though Dartmouth hasn't played a game, I'm going to go with what you always say to everybody when you're in Vegas. You got to give me that mouth action. Go Dartmouth.
Dartmouth. Cornell at Colgate, Dan.
I'm going Nelly's here. Colgate, also disappointing this season.
So there is another Nelly.
I know there is.
We'll talk about that one in a second. Then we got Yale at Holy Cross. Going to go Crusaders personally.
As am I. They're fighting.
And then to close things out, this is the primetime game, of course. This is Marist, 6 p.m. on the road at Bucknell.
Yeah, they're playing this one at the Sky Dome. I'm going to go against the Red Foxes here. I'm going to go with these Nellies.
Playing this one at the Sky Dome.
Yeah, Ty and I were going to stay at the hotel attached to the Sky Dome in preparation for this one.
Yeah. Shout out to the fine people of Williamsport who I did get some emails about my joke
Ty.
last week.
Who cares?
I did.
You were authentic. You didn't like your experience there. It's okay. Some people like things, some people don't.
I did not have a good experience. I was like 8 years old, so
I don't know.
maybe it
You
changed
spoke your
since
truth.
then. The thing that I did speak my truth, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
I'm very pro Little League World Series, okay? The thing that I need to correct, though, and the fine people of Williamsport chimed in to tell me about this. My joke was that the game was going to be at Howard LeBady Stadium. It is Harold
Okay.
J.
Get
LeBady
it
Stadium.
right.
I got it wrong.
Yeah.
So, to the fine people of Williamsport, a town that I have driven through many times over on my way up to State College.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Maybe you're thinking of Harold Reynolds.
I don't know what I was thinking of. I
Uh,
called it Howard. I don't.
people like places. People don't like places. It's all right. I don't like Reno, Nevada. I think the whole place feels like the lobby of a weird strip club. The whole damn place. That's okay.
So I called it Harold LeMady Stadium last week. It is Howard.
Yeah.
LeMady
You were thinking of Harold Reynolds.
I was thinking of Harold Reynolds. Yeah.
That's all.
I think I botched it up again here.
Did you really? Look it up. Fact check it in real time.
I have it. It's Howard. It's
Howard. Okay. And you said
I
Harold.
screwed it up again.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Anyway, thank you, one. Thank you all for downloading, for listening, for supporting what we do. Don't forget to go out to playruntheboard.com or verballers.com if you're ever so inclined. If you want to get in on our pick'em game for this week, compete for that $100 gift card. Unless, Dan,
Scared to compete. Unless you don't
Unless
have
you're
what
scared
it
to compete.
takes.
unless you don't have what it takes.
That's
But otherwise,
special stuff.
all are welcome. Stop on over. Again, verballers.com, playruntheboard.com. You know what to do in the social media front. I am not going to rehash that again. You know the drill. Please do give us a phone call, 855-VERBAL-3, as you are watching the games this Saturday. Let us know your thoughts as the action is unfolding. And then, of course, stop on back on Saturday night, midnight Eastern time, as we rehash all of the action.
Absolutely.
That is all I got. I'm almost out of this coffee. I am tired from a barking dog all night. I just spilled it. That's great.
Is that a euphemism?
No.
Okay. Literal barking dog all night.
All night. For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, myself, Ty Hillenbrand, thank you so much for downloading, listening, supporting what we do. Enjoy your Slowdown Saturday. We'll see you all on Saturday. Take care.
Peace.